Joining me now is Chris Bedford, senior editor at The Federalist and vice chair of the Young Americans Foundation. He's been following the Democrats around South Carolina for the past few days. Also with me is Drew McKissick, South Carolina GOP chairman, a man who knows the ins and outs of the state better than most. All right, Chris, barring some epic collapse, Biden looks like he's going to be assured of a victory. But his appearances on the trail have just been... It's actually kind of sad. I've got to say, I've been sad because personally, actually, I've always liked Biden. He's actually kind of a lovable personality.
He's extremely likable.
I've always really liked him. But it's almost like someone needs to just stop him.
Stop.
Because it's just...
It's time for the early Golden Corral dinner.
It's sad.
Joe Biden is an extremely likable person. He's got a lot of history. His donors originally gave to him on that. But it's been clear that he probably should retire for some time. What he could get tomorrow, which would be a big win for him, potentially, is if he actually just gets literally a big win. 10 points or more points that he can carry in. Because the worst thing for any candidate, even worse than this lack of money, is the stink of loser. And if people think that you're a loser, they're not going to back you no matter what, especially in the Super Tuesday states. If he does well, he could stay in this race. And the New York Times reporters have actually showed that the Democratic Party is willing to break their own party to stop Bernie Sanders, the superdelegates, from being the nominee. If he can get to that convention alive, he might actually either be the nominee or at least a kingmaker.
Mm-hmm. Drew, he has to bend over backwards to try to reassure voters that he has fire in his belly. Watch.
What is your fire? Because you see Bernie, you see Elizabeth Warren, you see that fire. That's what I'm looking for. What is your fire?
Decency and honor. The fact that I'm not screaming like Bernie and waving my arms, or like Elizabeth, it's not a lack of fire.
All right, Drew, is that...
Well, look, it kind of reminds me of that interview that Ted Kennedy did with Roger Mudd years ago, where he couldn't explain right off the cuff of why he wanted to be president, and he couldn't answer that question. Like, why is he actually running now, other than to stop Bernie or other than to save the establishment? Those people aren't really excited about supporting his campaign, and his problem here is whether he wins here or not. When you leave here, you're going into states where he doesn't have much of an organization. He hasn't spent money. Bloomberg's dropped $500 million in 20 states. And so what are they going to do, even if he wins here? If he wins by 10 or he wins by 5 or whatever it may be, they've got a structural problem over the long term, and that is proportional delegate allocation in all states. And it took how long for Hillary to put Bernie away last time in a two-person race, and now you're talking about 3 or 4 or 5 people going all the way to the convention? They've got a math problem, and then you get to the superdelegates on the second ballot. Well, what are they going to do? Half of those guys are elected officials who are running on the ballot this fall. They don't want to run with Bernie on top of the ticket. So if they take it away from him, his folks burn the party down. And either way, heads we win, tails they lose.
Yeah, Chris, Congressman Clyburn is obviously an incredibly popular, significant figure in this state for all the reasons that we've discussed before on the show. He is hoping that his endorsement will give him, Biden, the momentum going all the way to Texas, is what he said.
It needs it to propel him. We're trying to create a surge here. There are going to be 14 states voting on next Tuesday, and we would like to see him go into those 14 states with a big vote out of South Carolina. It will signal to the people down in Texas that Joe Biden is, in fact, surging.
I mean, Jim Clyburn doesn't even seem excited by Biden, and he's the biggest, endorsee that he has.
My first question walking in the door yesterday to a Biden rally is, why isn't Congressman Clyburn here? Why isn't he there to speak on behalf of him? Why are there local party officials and Hollywood movie stars that are there to try to pump up the crowd? Because Joe Biden is not really pumping up the crowd. Why isn't he down there stumping for the guy who he thinks is the future of the Democratic Party? Candidates are really worried. Bernie Sanders has the potential to go far nationally, actually potentially challenge Donald Trump. Joe Biden probably doesn't have that, but they'll sacrifice their party to not have Bernie Sanders.
They'll sacrifice the next 4 years
easily
to stop him.
Save
that's how
House and the Senate.
That's how important they think stopping Bernie Sanders in. If they have to lose to Trump, it's better than losing the whole party. Am I saying that correctly?
I mean, it is telling that this endorsement comes just 4 days before the primary. I mean, why wasn't he on the trail with Biden 2 months ago?
Desperation.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
by the way, guys, Bernie Sanders was not happy about the president being here tonight. Check it out.
Turns out that Donald Trump is in Charleston today. He is here in South Carolina. He doesn't even have any opposition in the Republican primary. Why is he here? He's here to try to disrupt the Democratic primary. How pathetic and how petty can you be?
Drew, apparently the president's not allowed to travel.
I guess not.
They don't want him to travel to South Carolina, a state he's going to win, by the way.
Well, look, the simple fact is that South Carolina is the last stop before Super Tuesday where all the media is in one state for a solid week. So why wouldn't the president come here and leverage a media presence to get his message out? I mean, he had a winning message in 2016. He's got a winning message now with a record to go along with it that he can advertise here.
No, but it reminds me of it. We got to go. But it reminds me of it. They don't want him to travel to California. He can't go to California because they're going to have riots there. He can't go to Chicago. They threatened violence last election. And now they don't want him to come to South Carolina. Nice try.
South Carolina wants him here.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, no.
It was popular.
Now,
Absolutely.
you guys, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank
The
you.
beer's on me.
Thank you
Sorry,
for
it's
having
on Paul Meadowbrook. Thanks so much. And